Carl.
Hey, what's happening, Drew?
Frosted tips incoming.
Oh, boy. Stupid. Bills lost to the Chiefs. I had a bet with Bob Levy, and I had to frost my tips.
Well, everyone thought you had frosted tips already, so what's the harm?
Yeah, now you're just a towhead.
That was the big joke. I don't see a difference, was a lot of what a lot of people said.
I was really interested to see if you had some thoughts on Shane Gillis, because I know you love Shane Gillis. You're a fan, and I thought it was really weird that he ends up on Saturday Night Live with this unreceptive audience, with this goose-milked laughter that we saw on TV. And so we're seeing this comedian just going, I know in the lights, I can see nobody likes this. Meanwhile, we're hearing all these laughs. I thought it was bizarre. And then yesterday I read all the shitty headlines. The stupid media, they just couldn't wait to pounce on this guy. It was just brutal. And I didn't think it was the best monologue, but I certainly didn't think it was that bad. And I thought he did a good job on the show, generally.
I'm a huge Shane Gillis fan. I've seen him do stand-up live. He's one of the best out there right now, for sure. I think the lesson is you can't acknowledge things aren't going well. You guys mentioned this.
Yeah.
On the Golden Globes, we saw this happen with Shane Gillis. It's like, just push through.
But
you
Carl,
have no idea how it's being received on TV.
But Carl, he doesn't know they're sweetening. He doesn't know they're doing canned laughs underneath him. He thinks there's a dead room, and I think Joe Coy thought the same thing.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that, because especially like you were saying, the band behind him was giving him nothing. Everyone in front of him was giving him nothing. And listen, it wasn't the best monologue ever. There were a few things I thought were really funny. When he was talking about Down syndrome almost got him and he's dodging it. there were some things that were really funny.
That was funny. I agree.
In that monologue, and they were giving him nothing for that. It was pretty brutal. But this is the thing. When you talk about those headlines, I know you were reading the TMZ stuff or playing the TMZ stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
I think, when it comes to politics, you sound ignorant if you don't understand the other side's argument. If you're like, I don't know who would vote for Trump, or why would anyone vote for Biden? You just sound like you're ignorant. You should know why someone would feel one way or the other. I feel the same way about criticizing Shane Gillis's jokes. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh, he's making fun of people with Down syndrome. What's wrong with this guy? It's like, really, you don't understand what he's going for at all here?
I know the guy on TMZ says he's going after Down syndrome. Going after
Once again,
them?
it sounds like they didn't listen to the monologue whatsoever.
But you're on TMZ. You're supposed to know.
You sound ignorant when you don't understand. So Shane Gillis has 84,000 paid members on his Patreon for his podcast. That is number one on Patreon. God. And guess what number two has? 53,000.
Wow.
Really? Who's number two?
Number two is like some video game creator. It's not even a podcast.
So Shane, what would you guesstimate he makes a month on Patreon with 84,000?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know. They don't have the dollar amount up there.
I was going to say that's got to be at least $500,000, because at $5 it'd be 420,000, and he probably has some upper tier people. That's fantastic.
Yeah, because you can buy it for $5, you can buy it for $10, and then he also has a $50 tier as well. So there's super fans just wanting to give him money. So he's doing very, very well. No, it's not just him. It's Matt on there as well. But you can't say, wow, you have to be ignorant to think this guy's funny. There's hundreds of thousands, not millions of people who think he's funny. Of course, Netflix just gave him a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
You guys thought that. But I'll tell you this. I didn't understand Shane Gillis going on SNL. I didn't know what was in it for him, because people who didn't like him weren't going to like him no matter what. So he got a lot of people to watch. So it was a win for SNL. I watched it. I never watched SNL.
No, me too.
It could be simply that's just something he always wanted to do, or maybe
it's dream.
Yeah,
right?
It's his dream, or maybe the fact that, hey, I was fired from here. I'm going back triumphant.
I'm going to win.
Well, yeah, I don't think he won over any new fans. I know what you mean, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he did it, but I don't think it helps him in any way.
No, I don't think it does either. And the worst part to me is that Saturday Night Live would not goose that audience with more pro-Shane Gillis people. They actually let a bunch of people who fucking hate him sit there. The two people I read about that were in the studio audience said that there were just two small pockets of people that were laughing and clapping, one with his parents and some other relatives, and I don't know who the other group was, but he said the rest of the floor was silent and the bleachers were pretty quiet.
Awkward.
So what's the miscommunication then? Because obviously they're putting in the laughter for the TV audience, but they're letting him die on the stage live.
Right.
So
that's
who's
good.
in charge of this?
That's
what are they trying to accomplish?
No, that's insane. That's absolutely stupid. Or, couldn't you at least tell him that, this is Saturday Night Live and our regular audience probably wouldn't like you, so we're going to goose it with some laughs so you don't have to worry about what's going on in the studio. That's not important.
I would love to see or hear, I'd love to see the rehearsal. You know how they do 2 shows, one at 8 and one at 11:30. I'd love to see reviews from people that were in the 8 o'clock one to see how different it was, or how how different the audiences were.
Well, the audience gets geeked for pretty shitty monologues. They will laugh and clap. I've seen it many times, and honestly.
But I'm talking about 2 audiences for the same monologue, right? And how different they must be. Or
it's a different audience. I see.
Yeah. Did he say he was bombing or not? I don't know. Kind of interesting.
I also think that having a redheaded cunt over your shoulder, who's the main person you can see in the band, is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
She fucking hates him, obviously.
Yeah, which is just a dick thing to do. You're on TV.
Yep.
I know. Be a professional.
As far as the sketches go, I know I heard you guys talking about how you thought it was a pretty good show. SNL is so bad right now. If Eddie Murphy can come back, they need someone to save this show. It's terrible. I don't understand. I thought the Rock Bottom Kings was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was a good skit. I thought that the Trump thing, so I'm glad they let Shane Gillis do his Trump impression. Shane Gillis does a Trump bit in his act that's 20 times funnier than what they did.
Yep.
Well, we played the, was it the speed dating with Trump last week? That was very funny.
Yeah,
from hilarious.
Waves, right.
But he could not say a lot of the things he said on Saturday Night Live, so he was limited.
And they
I
cut
suppose.
the best skit from the show, the Limu Emu and Doug.
Yeah.
That was the best one. It's out available on the internet, but I don't know why they would cut that from the show.
Yeah, the commercial parodies are funny. I thought the floor made 0 sense. I didn't even understand. So I understand it's a comedy skit, so you don't have to have like actual rules to the game show. But it was so stupid. Like, what's even the point of this game? What are they doing?
You mean when he couldn't recognize the people?
Yeah.
Right, but he got so many tries, and it's just like keeps going and going, and they're like, yeah, you win anyway. Like, okay, let's.
I didn't know what was going on. I like to think that Shane. What I'm going to think in my head until someone tells me differently is that Shane didn't write that. And I'm going to give him credit for everything that I laughed at, because the Green Bay Packers thing, about the phones. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
Well, the problem with a lot of these skits, I thought the sex dolls was the same thing. It's so predictable. Even the Forrest Gump thing that you guys liked, and the guy does a good Forrest Gump and stuff, but it's so predictable. Like, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the Limu Emu one was a little predictable, too.
Except,
like
you know what? I think Shane, he's just funny. There's something funny about him when he enters the room or he's in a skit. He adds more than anyone on that show. Kind of like
you two should get a room,
when Pete Davidson turned up. I think a lot of people's natural inclination was to laugh because he's just kind of he's funny.
The predictability too. That's really interesting to bring that up, Carl, because I think that's one of the things I love about I Think You Should Leave, the Tim Robinson sketch comedy. You have no idea where those sketches are going or where they're going to end up. They're so goddamn bizarre, which I like that. I like being surprised.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's one of the most difficult parts of sketch comedy is the conclusion.
Yeah.
And finding a way to throw you a curveball at the end.
Yep.
And I just don't see this version. I only watched this one episode this season. I just don't see SNL doing that.
Yeah, it seems like for years that's been the problem. Is everything is too long, and if something is not funny, the worst thing you can do is make it too long. I just don't know why they don't have better editors. But
that HR meeting skit had one joke.
Oh, that
It
was
just
awful.
kept going.
That sketch was awful. Yeah.
We got it.
Well, so was the Church in the Bahamas. That was a one-joke sketch.
Oh, I hated that
That
one.
was
That was
awful.
so
that was stupid. I agree. And it was way up front, too. But, they've had certain groups that work together where, honestly, so much of the show was funny. I mean, if you go back to Farley and Spade and Dana Carvey and Dennis Miller and Norm, I mean, there was a really good group there at one time that, I found it was worth watching the entire show. And, they struck gold on a few groups. They had a good group before that, I think maybe 5-6 years before that. And then what's the best group they've had since after 2000? Would it be
They had that
Fallon
Bill
and,
Hader with Bill
Bill
Hader,
Hader was
Jason
great.
Sudeikis and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was acceptable.
Lonely Island.
I don't think they've had anything since then, though. Honestly, in the 10, 12 years since that group, has there been anything? I mean, I don't even know the cast now.
No, if you don't watch it, yeah.
I mean, do you know the names of all the cast members?
I watch it. I still watch the show, so I know who some of them are. Yeah.
Wow.
Are they getting
really
deals
laugh a
like the
lot?
cast members used to? Are they getting spin-off TV shows and movies
Well,
and stuff? I don't
Pete
see
Davidson.
that.
I mean, Pete Davidson's
Yeah.
probably the most successful guy, right?
Yeah, that's probably how I would judge it. I just don't
used to
see.
like that Beck Bennett guy, and I think all he does now is the voice of that stupid moose for BW3s, or not moose, but buffalo.
But you think about back in the day, like even a skit like It's Pat, which was never
Yeah.
a funny skit, got its
No.
own movie.
No.
You
Yeah.
know what I
God,
mean?
I'm
It's
glad
like
you said
it was
that.
so big back then that so many of these things got movies. Night at the Roxbury. So many of these silly skits that were just stupid got full length.
Yeah,
movies from it.
the Roxbury. I mean, again, it's Will Ferrell, so
Yeah.
it's a small thing. It was a physical, visual thing, and it was probably funny the first. And the song was so stupid too. I mean, who liked that
love.
song? But I watched the movie, and I actually was somewhat amused for a while. I mean, it was a stupid movie, but. Again, star power, and I just don't think they have star power like that anymore. But somebody that does have huge star power, I love good transitions, Drew, is Stuttering John. And I had so much fun when I saw that he was apologizing for masturbating to this girl, Keanu, which apparently, did he announce this on his show, Carl? Is that how this came out?
Yeah, so what happened was, and we have some bits that I'm going to play from when John was on Keanu's show about a month ago. I actually called into this episode.
Yes,
But-
I did not ask for that because I
No.
listened to it this morning and you and I kind of combined on it. Yeah, he just talks over you the whole time.
Yeah, which is fine. So Keanu is the fiance of Gino Bisconti. I'm friends with both of them. And when John was in Atlantic City for the Super Bowl weekend, he met Keanu in person. And so that was when he came back on his show, when he got back to LA, and announced that he had jerked off to Keanu because she was wearing very tight leather pants, and that got him very excited.
And she is beautiful.
She is. She's
Quite beautiful.
a gorgeous girl, for
But,
sure.
But before, and her mother is on her podcast. I mean, whatever. I don't. It's not a podcast I watch. She's beautiful, but that's not why I would watch a podcast. And she's probably not targeting me. And she decides to have John on, which is not a bad move. I mean, John could help any show, really. I would think.
She calls him the prom king of the Dabbleverse.
Exactly, and he loves that.
Yes.
But John, and this doesn't surprise me. I think I knew this before I watched 1 minute of it. Is that John goes into this thing, and his whole thing is to impress her with how intelligent he is, and to somehow get all his great credits out there. His degree from NYU that he's so proud of, the Tonight Show. I mean, I'm surprised he never got the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar roast, and that's pretty hard to squeeze into something like that, or any of his other stupid credits. But he is so taken in by her beauty that. And I know you don't like performative, John. I generally don't either, but I just got a kick out of the few times where it's like, oh, John, really? You are kissing her ass so hard, but you're desperately trying to impress her. And it's so embarrassing when someone does this. I mean, on a long interview, he's constantly just trying to blow her away with his amazing intellect, and it's just so bad.
So one of my least favorite versions of Stuttering John is Flirty John,
It's
aka Horty John.
Yeah.
It's so off-putting. If you guys used to listen to Stern a few years ago, they had this bit with Gary Delabate, Flirty Gary. And it was just like this really awkward version of Gary Delabate, who was just flirting all the time. I don't know if that's based on John, but it seems like it, because during this entire thing, he's flirtatious and bragging. And if you want to play my track number one, she intros John. He immediately starts bragging about how much money he just made on the stream he had just done on his show.
Hi, John.
I can't. The prom king of the Dabbleverse.
You're the prom king of the Dabbleverse.
I know. It's so funny. Today, Keanu, they tried to do a super chat ban.
Yeah.
And I think I made $800 today in one day.
I watched your program. I watched it as I was researching you and researching my guests. But
Imagine being almost 60 years old bragging that you made $800.
I made $800 today.
Well, let me give you a quick background on what happened. That was around the time when he made fun of my dad for having cancer. And I did a show on Sunday. I don't normally do that, but I did a stream where I showed that John was tweeting all this shit about my family and doxing them and talking about my dad's cancer and stuff like that. And after that happened, guys like Shuley and a lot of people in the Dabbleverse said, let's stop giving this scumbag any money. Let's not give him super chats. Because what happens is John lives off of people insulting him. His entire show, his entire stream, and it's entertaining, don't get me wrong. It's just people ragging on him and his family, and he has to read them $2 and $5 at a time. So John got real panicked this one day because he had done this thing, and Shuley and everyone saying, let's stop giving him money. So John comes on. He got about, I want to say 6 or 7 super chats, but it was from people who were trying to fuck with Shuley, who were giving him $100 at a time. So when he says he made $800, but that was from like 10 super chats.
Right.
So it wasn't that impressive when you think it was just like a few guys who just wanted to kind of fuck with Shuley.
And then he goes back later on. He comes back to this because it's so incredible. My God, he made $800. He brags to her about getting $100 super chats, and he's fucking bragging. He's trying to impress her because she's hot. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and also he knows Gino. Him and Gino are quote unquote friendly right now. So the way that he hits on Gino's fiance, I find off-putting, but whatever. That's whatever John's thing.
The way he hits on anybody is off-putting there, Carl.
It's brutal.
It's crazy. Yeah. So they're talking about how John has been telling Gino not to use the N-word. And so Keanu is saying, yeah, I know, we it's not great. You shouldn't go on other people's shows and do that, obviously. But this is my second clip here. And John decides to just transition this conversation into bragging about how much he knows about science.
Oh God,
this is great.
I get his purpose for saying it, but he certainly shouldn't do it on somebody else's show. But
no. Well, he's apologized, and I've already said on my show, I forgive him. I don't.
Yeah, I know you're a good guy, right?
People make mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers. That's my thing. But I do want to I just have to educate you on one thing.
Okay.
Believe it or not, Keanu, the actual color of the sky is violet.
Oh, it's violet? Okay, well, thank you.
But the cone cells in our eyes can't detect the violet. So we see the sky as blue, but it's actually, if you Google the real color of the sky, you're going to be like,
God, he's so
interesting.
Smart. And what color do you think the sun is?
Well, I would venture to say the color of fire. I don't know.
Yellow.
So yellowy, red-ish. Am I wrong?
It's white.
Look how proud he is of himself.
It's white.
You're blowing my mind. You are blowing my mind. My God.
I taught science in school, so. Yeah.
Oh, he's so brilliant.
Please tell me some of that's wrong. Did anybody fact check him?
I didn't actually. And soon later on, he of course. It keeps coming back that he has to leave at a certain point because he has to watch Jeopardy. But he can't just say he has to watch Jeopardy. He has to brag. But maybe you'll get to that, Carl.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. So the other thing that John is doing is he's constantly doing people favors, and he needs credit for it. So not only did John come on Keanu's show, which is a big deal because John's a big get. He's a big celebrity. But he also promoted it on his show. This is my track number 8. Where John wants to take credit for this.
And I did promote me being on here on my show.
They said that I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if he'll show up. Because I'm just such a big star.
I am a man of my word, Keanu.
Carl, he says he charges everyone for going on their shows. Did he charge Keanu?
He did not, but he still thinks he's talking to as many people as he was when he was on the Howard Stern show. He's talking to 600-700 people on his live stream, telling them, I'm going to go on Keanu's show, and thinking that he's making her a millionaire from that.
Do we know how many people were watching while he was on with Keanu?
There was a couple hundred. Yeah, I was watching it, obviously, because I called him.
Yeah, and John just completely talked over Carl, and he knows what he's doing.
Well, okay, so afterwards... somebody super chats the Keanu and says, John's just yelling over me the whole time. My track number 9, where he explains why he doesn't have to treat me with any dignity, and he loves to have this get out of jail free card at all times.
Here's the thing, Keanu.
Kindly.
What he has said about my kids so many times, And the most recent one, I think, was like 4 months ago, where he reads my kids' speeches and everything else. And he takes shots at me. I want to plug Vince the Lawyer's podcast from today, because he simply points out that A, the hypocrisy of Karl, and B, how Karl continues to diss me through my children. And for him to come on today, it was just like, okay, well, when I even hear that fucking stupid Rochester accent, it sets me off, especially when it's owned by a dweeb who's been attacking my family for 3 fucking years.
Yes.
Now,
my God.
Drew, I don't know if you remember what I called in to tell John, but what I was telling him when I was on the phone is that I have a lot of respect for his family. I think they're turned out very well. I have no problem with them at all. And he keeps saying that I attack his kids, and I don't. I think that they're wonderful people. And that's why John started yelling over me, because that takes away his ability to do anything he wants and just say, well, he was talking about my kids, so it's okay.
Talking about my kids.
And he thought talking about your wood paneling in the basement would impress her. Oh my God, John's so quick on his feet. But that reminded me when he was saying, "You trashing my kids," which is just like a broken record. Oh my God. When he was in Atlantic City, at one point, John seems to be kind of stirring for a fight with somebody. He's getting mad. I mean, gets mad enough that security actually comes over. And John actually says, can you imagine this, to an Atlantic City casino security guy, "He's trashing my kids."
So this guy, Patrick Melton from Nobody Likes Onions, who it towers over John. He's 6'5". John is 5'5". So he's towering over John, and John's acting like Scrappy Doo. He's like, "Let me at him, let me at him." He's throwing he's making a big scene about it. So security comes over, of course, he's making a big scene. Meanwhile, Patrick Melton's just standing there smoking a cigarette, not even moving, and John's freaking out. So security comes over and he goes, "He's been trashing my kids." And I think in John's mind, because he's such an East Coast guy and he's back on the East Coast, that he thinks that everyone's going to get up from their slot machines and be like, "Who's trashing whose kids? Let's take care of this, fellas."
It reminded me when I worked in Charlotte, North Carolina in the 80s, a lot of the professional wrestling world was based there or were there. And so there was a place, huge bar. It was a dance bar. It had bars all over the place. It had like 3 levels, and you were all surrounding the dance floor, so you could just kind of look down on it. But it was just huge. And so these professional wrestlers would show up, and this happened like 3 times when I went there. Somebody would literally, allegedly be trying to get into a fight while like 20 people held him back. Yeah. But he wasn't really trying to get into a fight. They just liked the whole specter, and it was kind of a fun part of the night. But the fight never would happen. It would never happen.
There's a video online that somebody posted showing how this plays out. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's kind of famous, but there's these dogs on either side of a fence, and they're barking at each other, and they're all riled up. And then this fence is slowly opening automatically. And then as the dogs realize they can get to each other, they all turn around and run away. But it's also funny that John doesn't know how to go after me or make a good, valid point about me. So he goes, "And check out Vince the Lawyer's show, because he made some good points about what a scumbag Karl is," because he's got nothing.
No, and he's terrible on his feet. But he is really, I bet he slept 3 extra hours for the show. He wants to impress her so badly, and it's just nauseating. He is flirting, but he's also really trying to impress her, like, "I am a huge deal."
Well, let's go to my track number 3, because they're talking about Kevin Brennan. And Kevin Brennan, I guess, posted some photos from Keanu Thompson's OnlyFans. And so this is just some foreshadowing as John declares that Kevin Brennan is the creep.
He always told me, "Keanu, you're such a good sport." He said the most heinous things about me, posted my OnlyFans pictures on Twitter without asking, just stolen photos, just a 65-year-old man coming after innocent, sweet me. Like, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
He is a creep. He's the real creep.
He is. He sure is.
Dude.
Let's go.
Remember that John is saying that Kevin Brennan is the real creep in this, because
I know where you're going.
yeah, I think we're going to find out who the actual creep is. But so as they're talking about, they have a mutual enemy in Kevin Brennan at this point. For whatever reason, John needs to start talking about education levels, because again, he needs to start bragging.
He needs to bring up his degree. He desperately wants to bring his degree up. It hasn't come up somehow, so he's going to bring it up.
My clip number 4 is this.
No, we have a We have a mutual enemy. And Kevin Brennan, you are more than welcome on this program anytime you want, but he won't do it because he's scared, because he knows I'm smart and he knows I'm a good sport. So,
Where are you from, Kiana?
so I was born in Chicago, but I'm from South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
We have a caller. I think they are calling.
Educated?
Probably.
In college?
Yes, I went to College of Charleston. I was a theater major. John, it's ridiculous. It's the most useless major of all time. But
Well, I majored in film and television at NYU, and
Never
I
dreamed.
did working.
I did hear that. Yes, NYU. You graduated from NYU. No
Yeah,
grad school, no
1986.
nothing.
I mean, 1989, but they all try and pretend that I don't have a degree, but I do. It's
Well, I
ridiculous.
believe you. Oh, wait, I did see you once. You know what? On Carl's show,
wait.
you showed us all of your diplomas.
Yes. Yes.
And the dog obedience
Yeah,
diploma. And I did
face.
think that was funny.
it is. Yeah, I put all my degrees and put the dogs one.
Yeah, what an idiot I am.
Oh my God.
This is funny because Keanu was on WATP when I was at Chrissy Mayer's Content House in the Poconos. So it was Keanu and Gino, and we were reviewing when he got back to Florida. He finally found the box with his degrees so he could prove all the haters wrong. And he was pulling out his degrees. He had the dog training certificate, and he had his real estate license. Everything's framed.
Oh, yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, his dog obedience thing is framed. But, you know, when he says, "Are you educated?" When he asks where she's from, he is just trying to find a way to bring up his degree. I would have blown anyone if John had not mentioned his degree at that point. You know that was going to happen. There was
Hey,
no
of course.
way.
Now another question about the clip. What is this ring that he shows up to the? Does he do this a lot?
Is that his class ring?
Yeah, so this is his class ring from NYU. Now it has a J on it, which is weird because that's like his first initial.
What?
Okay.
That's a weak-looking class ring. I've seen much bigger class rings than that.
Yeah. Well, who
Well-
wears their class ring?
No.
Who wears their class ring? He's 58 years old. He's still talking about college.
know.
And you know what recently surfaced? It's great. These old tweets he was putting out in 2019 and 2020, where he was debating people on Twitter because people were saying, John, you have no business talking about the economy. You have no business talking about politics. So all of a sudden he's on Twitter going, I have my master's degree in poli-sci from NYU. And then there's another tweet a year later where he's like, actually, I minored in economics. And he's like, he puts in all these things that are not true. So he got called on that recently. He's just like, I'm just fucking around.
Oh, I was just joking.
Oh, like
just
being,
joking.
yeah, like he claimed he was a Mensa. And
Right. He still does. Yeah.
yeah, that's been disproven. And I think he said it's a joke, but then he'll say it again like it's true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll act like it's a bit when he gets busted.
Right.
But leading up into that, he acts like it's real the whole time. He uses it as his argument.
Brandon, did I see you with some pictures of Keanu's OnlyFans up there over there?
Maybe, but that was confidential.
Carl, have you looked at Keanu's OnlyFans?
I've seen some of her photos. She's like Wonder Woman and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
Oh,
one of
she
Wonder
was.
Woman. There's some.
I
good ones
didn't
in
see any Wonder Woman.
Are you guys gonna beat off to her now?
She looked to me like she was.
I actually, it's funny you say that. I was texting with Gino the other day, and I go, "Hey, just let Keanu know I've never beat off to her." So I'll let you know that.
Brandon, I thought she was completely nude in the picture you showed earlier. Or you had up earlier. You didn't know I was looking.
Oh, I can pull up some more if you really want, but
Don't you hate when you're
that's a
busted
nice
looking
one.
at porn at work?
Yeah.
The worst, right? When your
prep.
boss catches you.
It's prep.
it is
Come
prep.
on, man.
I'm doing work here.
That's
pretty hot. That's pretty
yeah,
hot.
that's
nice. Yeah.
Wow. Because she kind of implied to John that, oh, there's nothing to my OnlyFans. I don't really show anything. And it looks like she's showing a lot to me.
Yeah.
Not knocking it either.
And she's educated.
I don't think she still has an OnlyFans. I don't know. She doesn't promote it at all anymore, so I don't know. She's a comic. She did that comedy show in AC.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
I don't know if she's trying to get away from the OnlyFans thing or not.
I don't know why you would have it and not promote it. That makes no sense. Because who's your review girl that she doesn't like talking about her OnlyFans? Like, why don't you promote it and make some money if you have it?
I know. Mary Beth Rosie, if you want to check it out, Mary Beth Rosie on OnlyFans. Every time I try to promote it, she's reluctant about it. She's like, oh, yeah, that old thing. I'm like, well, no, let's get it out there. There's a link in the show description. Check it out.
Now, do you know if she has any success with that?
I haven't talked to her about it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, she hasn't bought a big home recently, has she?
No, she has not. But her and her husband, Brian Johnson from Tell 'em
She got a
Steve Dave
husband?
and all the Kevin Smith movies. Yeah.
Oh.
Her and Brian Johnson are going to be in Vegas when we were in Vegas for Hackamania. So I guess they're doing okay.
Oh, she's Brian Johnson's wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Mary Beth Johnson. Yes.
Wow, I had no idea. And his podcast is
Tell 'em Steve Dave. It's a huge one.
That's a really good podcast. I listened to it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they're great. That started as they were on Comic Book Men on one of those AMC or something. They had a TV show for like 8 seasons.
Right.
So he did very, very well. And then those same cast of characters started doing a podcast, and they have a huge following for that.
Definitely.
So Keanu mentions to John it's time for him to leave soon. And John explains why he has to leave at a certain time. And again, this is my track number 5. John is just always bragging about how intelligent he is.
You gotta head out of here, right? In 15.
No.
Yes.
In 16 minutes, I'm going to watch Jeopardy. That's my thing. I like to ace it.
Oh, what a dick.
Okay. He's such an asshole.
Does he not know how to record a TV show too, by the way?
Point.
I mean,
No,
come
he
on.
just wants to say that I get all the questions right. I ace it. What?
How much money would you pay to watch John watch Jeopardy?
Oh, that would be the best.
Yeah, he should put that on his Patreon because I would sign up for that.
He could make a shit ton of money doing that.
Yes.
And he would not be that good.
There's no fucking
He does
way.
not ace Jeopardy. That's such bullshit. Why is he flirting so hard with her?
Look at that look on his face too.
I know.
He's so proud of himself. Like, I'm pretty smart. Pretty smart.
He's
All right,
really
so-
putting the moves on. He's so charming right now.
My clip number 6, and so John makes a very obviously lame joke, but he's so proud of himself.
What else did I want to touch on? Number 1, okay.
I'll tell you something you can touch on. Hey,
Ayo.
hey.
Oh my God.
Once again, the still. Look how proud he is of him.
I know.
It's a fucking
And that
asshole.
stupid fucking face he made. What is he making faces in the mirror?
Yes, he's looking at himself. He always is. He loves it.
Oh my God. Yeah, but KB's the creep.
Well, again, I'll just mention it again. This is bad form. He knows Gino Bisconti. That is her
Right.
fiance. It's not cool to be like, hey, you want to touch my dick later?
You know, I also thought it was interesting, Carl, that, and this is because Keanu's hot and John's being charming John and flirting with her and showing off for her how brilliant he is. It was interesting to me that he made such a big deal about how, I've forgiven Gino about the N-word and no big, everything's good. He never forgives anyone for anything, but he forgives Gino for the N-word because Keanu's hot. Is that why?
Yeah, you have to understand, in John's world, it's crazy how he makes these decisions. He'll just turn 180 anytime he wants. So,
Yeah.
for example, Patrick Melton, the guy we were talking about that he wanted to fight in Atlantic City, was talking mad shit about John's children. I brought this up to John a few times. I'm like, this guy's saying way worse stuff than I ever did. You never say anything to him. So then John decided when he saw him that he needed an apology. And as long as he got an apology, they could grab a beer together.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know any other adult that's really mad at someone for things they've said that were really personal and hurtful. Just like, as long as you apologize, we'll be BFFs.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah.
And that isn't that what he told security? He's trashing my kids. Wasn't it for was that for Patrick or Kevin?
That was Patrick. That was
okay.
it.
Right.
Yep, specifically. So, all right. So now Keanu's mom joins the program, and so
Love
Keanu's
this.
mom's always on this show, and she brings up that she knows about John from the Howard Stern show. And of course, John has to list his other credits.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to just be known for the
That's
Howard
not
Stern.
good enough.
Not good enough.
Which track is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is number 7 on here.
Oh boy. I don't-
This might be my favorite.
Hang on, I need a second to find number 7. My fault.
Yeah, no worries. I should have set that up better for you.
I was actually surprised that Michelin knew him at all.
See it? Okay. All right, here it is.
So do you have I know you were on Howard Stern, right? Is
Yeah.
that where you started? Yeah, I remember that. And do you have a podcast now, or?
Yeah, then of course I went to the Tonight Show with Jay Leno
course.
for 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was the announcer and staff writer, which is an amazing story. I was on a stutterer, so a stutterer became the announcer on the greatest late night talk show in history,
No, it's
which
not.
I tell a lot of my students when I was teaching that if I can do that, you can do whatever you want to do. Just believe in yourself, work hard, and don't take no account for an answer.
Of course, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, that's wonderful.
He's
Wonderful.
a pillar of the community, from King of the Dabbleverse.
Are you?
Very talented gentleman. Yes.
He's so wonderful. And you know what? Carl, did you know he was going to mention that wouldn't be enough that you remembered him from Howard Stern?
Well, so Drew sent me a note about this interview and things that he was picking up on. And you wrote in there, when somebody says, oh yeah, I knew you on Howard Stern, it's like the hammer to the knee reflex. The guy goes, but I was also the announcer for the Tonight Show. Like he can't just leave it at, oh yeah, I was at Howard Stern. I'm glad you know that. That's cool. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast now.
That is I cannot imagine someone saying to me they remember me from WRIF and then going, but I also worked in Sports Radio 105.1 and I worked in Phoenix at KMXX. That's just bizarre. That's ridiculous. Nobody
Also,
does that.
He says that he inspires stutterers all over the world. Drew, if I said, I used to listen to you on Riff, and you went, yeah, but I do charity work also, Carl. You didn't know that? Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome.
That's ridiculous.
All right, so fast forward now. What happened was John went on Keanu's show, and then, like I said, a few weeks later, they meet up in AC, and John is smitten with Keanu, comes back, talks about how he J-O'd to her, thinking about her. He calls it his spank bank, which is weird because all he did was just talk to her.
And I'm sure he had a full batch.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he saved up for it.
I've never heard anyone say that, by the way, except for John.
It's gross. So, all right. So Michaeline, who is Keanu's mom, she finds out about this, and they do a show together. She says, I think that's gross. I don't like that. I don't like that he's saying that. I find that disturbing. You know, Keanu's going, whatever. It's John. What are you going to do?
It's his friend's wife.
It's his friend's fiance. I know. It's so stupid. So my track number 10, now we're going to watch the Blind Mike Project breaking down this video because John sees that Keanu's mom's upset about this. So he's ready to apologize to Keanu's mom for saying that he jerked off.
Now, I want to apologize to Michaeline Thompson there for beating off to your daughter.
Imagine, think about that statement.
So I want to point out something too. It's subtle, but it's important. Her name is Michaeline. And the reason why I know this is because John asked her when she got on the show, he goes, is it Michaeline or Michaeline? She goes, it's Michaeline. My father wanted a son. I was the firstborn.
Yeah, and John had to point out that he knew that he knew the story before she told him because he's so smart.
Right. And then he's calling her Michaeline on his show. He's so stupid. All right. So he's ready to apologize. But is he? Track number 11.
I promise I'll beat off to you too. It'll be a threesome.
You find yourself so funny.
Me, you and Keanu, and I'll beat off to that. Be a nice threesome.
What a pig.
Oh my God, he's so proud of himself. He is so proud of himself, and that is so gross.
John loves making fun of the podcast that goof on him. Look at these guys laughing at their own jokes. He says this all the time. These guys are always laughing at their own jokes. Meanwhile, John says, hey, Keanu's mom, I'll jerk off to you too. So fucking proud of himself.
We were just, Carl, we were just watching. We were just watching a video of Ace Frehley, who does the same thing. He loves laughing at his own jokes, and he's leaving Walmart after going in there to buy his own CD, which is like, who buys CDs at all, let alone their own? And he's leaving, and he says, Ace Frehley has left the building, and then he laughs. I mean, he just laughs so hard at his own stuff. I don't know if you heard his other joke when his girlfriend swerved in the car by accident, and he said, oh, you must have hit gay cum.
Yeah, wasn't he in San Francisco or something? He's like, oh, he must have hit some gay comedy. Cracked himself up.
I think he was in Los Angeles, but it was like, what? But she pointed out in the book that Ace cracked himself up with that comment, which is so weird. Gay cum? Is slipperier than regular cum? I don't know. It is kind of funny, actually. It's so stupid. But Ace cracks himself up all the time, just like John.
I know. Ace is a character. We got to get him on
He
the
is.
show. Have you reached out to try to interview him?
He's got a new album. This might be the time. I'm going to talk to Trudy about it because I'm sure you'd love LLZ to play it. And we're on LLZ Saturday and Sunday morning, so who knows?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, if he looked at our history, I'm not sure that would happen.
But would he?
No, probably not.
No.
I was surprised he has a YouTube channel. That shocked me. And they're
Does he
actually
really?
editing the stuff, and it was pretty well edited. So, anyway, Carl,
check that out.
did you send some other cuts? I didn't know if you did or didn't.
I did. So we got
great.
one more from the Blind Mike Project. My track number 12. This is more of John just thinking he's hilarious and cracking himself up.
Guys need shit in the spank bank. So, Michelin, I promise next time you look pretty hot. Next time I'll beat off to you two, okay? This way we'll all be good.
Let's do him laugh.
I love watching the Blind Mike react to it, just like, ugh, this guy's so gross.
You know, I have to admit, I really relate to Blind Mike and the Blind Mike from the Blind Mike Project, which a lot of our listeners have found,
Yeah.
in that Mike really tried to escape the Dabbleverse. Didn't he make a public pronouncement that I am no longer part of the Dabbleverse, only to have it last, what was it, a month or two?
He goes, we're no longer talking about Stuttering John on this show. We're not going to be one of these shows that talks about Stuttering John. And he held on to it for a few weeks, and then John did something ridiculous, and he's like, okay, we have to talk about this.
Yeah. And now it seems that John is in the rotation. He's not, the big part of his show, but
Right.
yeah. And I feel the same way. There was a time when I felt like, I'm better than this. I shouldn't be watching all these insidious shows about Stuttering John. And then it never fails. I get dragged back in. It's so goddamn funny. And he does something new and ridiculous. This is the latest one, this whole thing with Keanu, which I had not seen. So sometimes I'm behind, but
Wow, hold on a second, Drew. I just launched a show today. We did a bonus show, and I put the clip up on our YouTube already. It's free for anyone who wants to check it out. This week, John has given me a deadline of Friday at noon.
What?
I knew.
Or he's gonna sue me. He's got a new lawsuit. But it's actually crazier than that. I don't even want to get into the specifics because it's so stupid. But basically what's going to happen is I've been saying that Vince the Warrior is Muttering Jay on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people think that Muttering Jay is the guy who got John fired from his job as a substitute teacher. So now Vince the Warrior is saying, well, I can sue Carl if he doesn't say that I'm not Muttering Jay on Twitter, but he can only sue me if there's actual damages done. So John's going to sue Vince to prove that damages were done, so then Vince can then sue me. And you'd think that this was like a bit and I'm making it up, but John's serious about it. He has no idea how stupid he is.
Wait, so John...
What are we talking about?
John is going to try to show that Vince has damaged him, actually caused him actual financial damages with that Twitter account as Muttering Jay. And then he thinks that will, of course, force him, because he will prove that and win, then Vince will sue you because he's not Muttering Jay.
How is he going to prove it?
Well, that's the thing. Wouldn't John have to prove that Vince is Muttering Jay in order to win his lawsuit? And I'm wondering if the lawsuits have to happen concurrently. So is this going to be tied up for a couple of years and then Vince is going to sue me? Or how's this going to work?
That is so harebrained. I can't believe Vince the lawyer's involved. He seems smarter than that.
So Vince the lawyer gave John permission for John to sue him. Vince goes, yeah, John, you can sue me about this because, we got to sue Carl. And there's a lot of speculation online. I think that I might be agreeing with a lot of these people who think that everyone wants John to actually file a lawsuit because then you get discovery.
Yeah.
Oh.
And discovery is a lot of fun because you find out all the finances, you find out what the actual jobs are. Oh. John just on his show yesterday admitted he wasn't volunteering at Salvation Army.
What?
That he was getting paid minimum wage to load a truck.
Oh my God. And he was claiming that, yes, I'm such a benevolent guy. Of course, I'm working for the Salvation Army. I'm putting in some hours today. And didn't you guess that he was getting paid?
Well, yes, of course. But now that he's admitted that he was, I think that maybe this was court ordered because he's always lying. So maybe the fact that Vince is like, come on, you weren't volunteering. You probably tell me the truth. He goes, okay, I was getting paid. I'm like, wait a second. I think that's a lie now. I don't trust anything he says.
Wait, so could he have been trying to pick up some side cash? Because he wasn't probably making a lot of money on his show then, was he? Or was he?
Well, that's what he says. He says, yeah, I was doing it for Christmas time. I needed some money. So I started working at Salvation Army. Now, when John was volunteering there, he said he was driving a truck. And we all went, well, you get blackout drunk every night. You're probably not driving a truck. But, so then he admitted yesterday that he's loading the truck, which is very funny. And then I like when Vince presses him, he's like, well, how'd you find out about this job? Carl says that you shop at the Salvation Army. That's why you knew about it. He's like, no, I was driving by and there was a help wanted sign in the window.
Oh my God.
Shit.
I can't believe he would take money from the Salvation Army as Mr. I worked at the Tonight Show for 10 years. I spent 15 years on Howard Stern, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar roast. And he wants to make minimum wage from the Salvation Army? What?
He's poor. He just won't admit it. That's the problem. It'd be fine if he just went, guys, I fucked up. I lost all my money. I'm poor now. But he doesn't. He doesn't do that. He insists he's got all this money and that he's killing it.
I just made $800.
Right.
So, Carl, how confident is the Dabbleverse? I won't even ask you particularly in person, but is the Dabbleverse confident that Muttering Jay is Vince the lawyer?
I'm very confident. I have a lot of evidence that points in that direction, but most people will agree with me. And I think most people think that because of the way both of them have handled John, they've both been on John's side and against John and won John over and then had John be their biggest enemy. And it goes back and forth over and over again. So they're both manipulating John in the same way.
Wow. Well, I can't. You must be on pins and needles over this deadline.
I'm so worried. All right, now, Drew, I do have some more clips for you. And because Keanu went back on John's show recently.
Yes.
All right. So
more flirting.
This gets even worse. Yes, the flirtation continues. Now, there's this channel called My Lost Interest, all one word, on YouTube. And My Lost Interest is just pulling clips from different shows in the Dabbleverse because there's too much to keep track of. He does a great job of pulling the highlights so you can watch them. So I grabbed that from his video. And so this is my clip number 13, Keanu going on John's show. And John, once again, he's a charmer.
And I'm not just, sucking your dick here, John. I wish. What I see is what I see.
That's still.
Oh, that face. Oh, my God.
Now, My Lost Interest is zooming in. So My Lost Interest is showing the important reaction and Keanu going, so, yeah, I'm not just like sucking your dick here, Joe. Oh, I wish, right?
Oh, my God.
Look at that stupid face.
Oh. It's the worst.
He is beneath nothing.
Okay, so I'm sure that Gino would love to hear that John's jerking off to his fiance. I'm sure that's just the best compliment my track number 14 that Gino could get.
Like Gino, I'm sure he would love people jerking off to you.
He has no issue with that.
Because he's got the real deal.
He still subscribes to my OnlyFans. I tell
We
him all
only
the
have
time.
a fantasy. He is doing you. We're not.
Good one.
Oh,
Desperate.
he's really sure about that.
Embarrassing.
Well, it's bizarre because John's friends with this guy named Richard Ojeda. He does the political show with John.
The Army Major.
The Army Major, Richard Ojeda. And so John says to him one time, he goes, Richard, if I said that I wanted to hit your wife, which is the words he used, he meant get with her.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't you think that's a compliment? And Richard Ojeda, as politely as he can, goes, now, John, if someone were to say that to me, I would have to punch them in the face. I'd probably chop them in the throat if someone said that to me. It's like, no, it's a compliment. Don't you think? It's like, just so you know, John, if someone were to say that to me, I would have to murder them.
Yeah, for some reason I thought I remember. It must not have been Ojeda, but somebody saying I would need to jog 5 miles immediately, like to get it out of my head or something.
Yeah, and John's never picking up on this. He still thinks it's a compliment. Be like, I don't know why Keanu's mom's mad. I said I would jerk off to her. What's the problem here?
Well, yeah, for him to have brought this up and all that, he has to think that she's going to be turned on by it. Like Big John, the prince of the Dabbleverse, is beating off to me. Wow.
Well, this is going to get a lot worse, guys.
Oh no.
Because now John is going to explain what his fantasy is with Keanu specifically.
Thanks for the $2. What position was Keanu in your Keanu, you want to know?
Sure.
You started out just making out. You had the black pants on. and then we got rid of that, and then, then the oral in both parts, and and the
John, I have to watch porn to masturbate. The fact that you could just do it off of memory is
oh yeah, it was like it was real.
Oh, memory. It was not a memory. I could say the fantasy of a memory of a pair of pants you saw.
Yeah, you were on top, and then we were doing missionary, and then a little anal, then back to top. I mean, it was everything.
Back. Yeah.
John would be so exhausted halfway through that. There's no way.
Put it in your butt, and then back in your vagina, and then in your butt again.
And he knew he blew way before then.
But people super chat him about ex-girlfriends and stuff, and they'll go, "So John, did you ever blow up in so and so's face?" And they'll be, "Well, yeah, I did. I did that a few times." And it's like, wait, that's not a public person. They're talking about an ex-girlfriend that he talked about on Stern or something.
And John will make sure to tell the last name too.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Karen Clark? Yeah. Okay, I did come in the mouth a few times. You're just like, gee, John, what are you doing? You were on the radio for 15 years.
Pig.
You know this is not cool.
No, I'm stunned. He's answered questions about his ex-wife and their sex life, which is just crazy. I mean, that's so obvious.
It's not good.
But he's like, somebody's
notice?
asking me, I got to answer. I mean,
did you notice in that clip he said oral in both parts?
yeah.
Does that mean she's licking his butthole? His hemorrhoid-infested butthole?
I believe that's what he meant.
Oral in both. I've never heard that expression before. Oral in both
parts.
She was riding me, and then we did missionary.
Unless he wanted to tongue her ass. Is that what he meant?
I don't know. I didn't understand that. Maybe we could super chat him and get clarification. All right. This is, I know what you guys are wondering. I know Mark's sitting there going, we're not getting all the information. Where does John finish when he's having this fantasy?
He's going in her mouth face. Oh, no, I finished inside of her.
We made love.
Yes, we made love. No, of course, I finished inside of her.
Oh, I never would have thought his answer was worse than any of the choices in the question. It's so gross.
That has got to be the absolute last thing she wanted to hear, too.
Look at the look on her face here, too. So she's horrified in a polite way.
And by the way, if this alcohol can get it up, you know he has a boner right now. As he's talking about this.
Carl, was that Kate Meany's super chat?
Well, it was a fake Kate Meany, but
Okay, duh. Stupid.
That's a whole other thing. All right, one more clip on here, and this is how Keanu signs off. And John, just being the class act that he is, does it perfectly.
Okay, and give my best to Gino as well.
I sure will. Bye.
And your mom.
Bye, John. I will.
Tell your mom I'll beat off to her today. All right, I like Keanu.
All right.
It was just like Ace the way he left his own dumb. It wasn't even a joke.
Ugh.
Oh my
Tell
God.
your mom I'm beating off to her.
So gross.
Creepy.
What a creep.
And it is cool. It's her mom, too.
It'll be a threesome.
It's
my God.
cool.
That's bizarre.
Ridiculous.
I think that today, this might be the first time we've actually gone full Dabbleverse on the show.
I think so, yeah.
We talked a little Shane Gillis, so I don't feel too guilty.
That's true.
Here.
That's true. I mean, there are a lot of people in our audience who do jump into the Dabbleverse. I don't know if you noticed that, but they do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of like Mike. I always feel like, that can't just go straight Stuttering John. And I swear, I recently decided that if I had to guess, if my life depended on it, and it was, will you ever get out of the Dabbleverse? The answer, to keep from being shot, I would say, no, I'm stuck. I'll never get out. I'll never get out of this fucking place.
We're all addicted to it. I'm trying to wean myself off. I've been doing shows about this guy, Joe Matarese, who recently resurfaced with a new podcast.
He is fascinating. That's another one, Carl. If you went down that path forever, I'd probably never get out. He is fucking fascinating. And isn't he a lot like Stuttering John in a weird way?
Yes, in a lot of ways he is. And we just did a bonus show because he used to have this podcast called Fixing Joe. And the whole thing was like he needed advice on how to live his life because he's married with kids, but he's trying to be a famous comedian and he doesn't know what to do.
And he makes no money.
And yeah, all this stuff. But his wife's a doctor and makes all this money. So we did this live show with Jim Norton, Artie Lang, and Anthony Cumia. And he took it off the internet, but somebody thankfully put it back up. And so we broke that down today on our Patreon.
Oh, I can't wait to see that because
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, he he paid for the cameras. This was for his show. This is like going to be his big break, was to have these 3 great guests. He was working at Compound Media at the time, correct?
Oh, I don't know if he was working there, but he was on Anthony's show quite a bit. And he was
Okay.
also on Artie's show and opening for Artie doing stand-up.
Okay.
But no, Drew, you're right. He hired the camera crew. He had a live band at the Village Underground. This is a very small place in Manhattan. There's a live band there for some reason, just for the quick intros as they're bringing the guys up, and then you never hear the band again. Huge waste.
Yeah, and what happens though is the whole thing turns on him because don't they make a few jokes that kind of hit at Joe, and he gets angry, and then he makes some comment about how you guys you don't know how to communicate. That's why you're single. It's like his big comeback.
He becomes the butt of the jokes.
Yeah.
Because he has the greatest ball busters in the history of radio on the show with them. And so as soon as he becomes the butt of the jokes, he's like, yeah, well, that's why you guys don't have a successful relationship. And, you know, I actually have a family. And they're like, yeah, Joe, we know. It's
Right.
it's really
Nice
funny.
comeback!
But the pylon was pretty immense, wasn't it?
It's fantastic. And
I can't wait to see it.
I pulled a bunch of clips last night, and then we watched it again today with Jen from the Jingles Department and Christian Blatt, and we were watching it. And I swear, none of the laughter is forced or fake. It cracks me up. Even though I had just pulled the clips the night before, I'm still laughing at these quips because Jim Norton, Artie, and Anthony are on top of their game on this show, and Joe Matarese is pouting. He's putting on the greatest show ever, and he's pouting by the end of it. Okay, guys, well, I guess we'll just end it here. It's like, Joe, what are you upset about? This has been fantastic.
Yeah, the crowd is laughing their ass off. I mean, I just remember the crowd reaction was fantastic. He's paying for this. This is supposed to be for him, and he ends up completely blowing it and getting destroyed, and now he can't get it off the web.
I love it.
Sorry.
Great.
Wow, great stuff, Carl. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, and real quick, WATPlive.com, March 22nd. We'll be down in Largo, Florida. You want to take a little vacation? I know it's 80 degrees in Detroit right now, but
It's nice
it will get cold again. And so if you want to get away to a beach somewhere, Largo, Florida is beautiful. March 22nd, it's near Tampa and Clearwater. And we're doing a live show. WATPlive.com is where you can get your tickets for that.
Well, Cull will be there. Cull is the big fish fan I told you about. I know he's really psyched for the show. He's going down to some Tigers games, and so he's going to catch the WATP show.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, I might swing over for a baseball game as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, cool. Thanks, Carl.
Say hi to your mother for me.
I'll be off the
Don't be beating up to her. That's a great sign off for every guest from now on.
Unbelievable. Wow.
See you, bud.
Carl. God, that was.
He's such a clown.
He's amazing.
God, he's so gross.
I will never fucking get out of the Dabbleverse. It'll never happen. Because I can go a while without it, but then I hear about something like, oh, I got to see that. I got to watch that.